If you've been on a cleaning frenzy lately, know that you are not alone. And it actually has nothing to do with you. It's the Taurus New Moon on May 16, 2026. And most likely, you've been feeling this energy since May 2nd of 2026. And you will continue to feel this energy until May 30th of 2026. Now, the majority of people think that we're only releasing on full moons, which is not true. New moons are all about new beginnings. And sometimes before you can start a new beginning, a spring cleaning has to happen. Now that we know that, let's look at what Taurus is all about. And the most talked about themes with Taurus are physical resources, money, income, possessions, assets, land, food, clothing, beauty products, jewelry, banking, savings, and ownership. Now, in the body, Taurus rules the throat, the neck, the vocal cords, the jaw, the thyroid, the taste, the sensuality, the touch, and physical comfort. Now, Taurus is one of the signs who loves pleasure and comfort. And they find that in food and sensuality, in sex through the senses, in physical, in affection and softness and music, in textures and perfume and comfort and luxury or warmth. Now, wherever you have Taurus in your chart, you will want stability in routines and predictability and loyalty, reliability, consistency and repetition, and long-term building. And you will expect this from yourself, but also from others. Now, Taurus is one of the 3 earth signs and rules earthly beauty, like flowers, gardens, nature, design, craftsmanship, quality materials, aesthetics, architecture, pottery, or handmade goods. And it also is the epitome of persistence, patience, slow growth, stubbornness, commitment, and staying power. And now that we understand what Taurus is, you might experience new things in any of the areas above. However, let's look at some concrete things that might happen with this new moon in Taurus in May 16th of 2026. So this can look like a quiet decision that changes the next several years of your life. You might initiate something related to your stability, either in your home, your work, your relationships, or your money. You might want to embody a different sense of being. You might be rethinking your values and asking yourself, what am I truly not willing to accept anymore? You might even be setting some boundaries. You might be looking into your relationship with survival and might realize that's no longer serving you anymore. You might actually manifest something material, either a house, money, something at work, a new relationship. Your thoughts could literally materialize, either good or bad thoughts, because the universe does not know the word no. So whatever you don't want to happen might actually happen. Be cautious in general with your thoughts, because the universe acts as in general that it doesn't know the word no. However, in the presence of a new moon, be especially cautious. Okay. And again, the post new moon period ends on May 30th of 2026. Now, I know you might be tempted to think, well, then I'll just think of $1 million. And if it were that simple, we would all be millionaires. However, a lot of people think that we run our lives through our conscious minds, but it's the subconscious that drives the show. So your subconscious mind will manifest whatever is trapped in there. So you can tell yourself 1,000,000 times, I want $1 million, and your reality will truly show you what you truly think about money. Now, if you think, for example, that money is evil, why do you think you never have it? So this Taurus new moon is begging you to review not only your relationships in general, but also your relationship with money. Now, for me, the way this is manifested is by working on the fear of seeing my own greatness, even though there's a lot of evidence of it. And I might or might not share those details in another video. We shall see about that. Here are some other Taurus New Moon themes. You might have a financial reset. You might start budgeting, saving, changing spending habits, creating new income streams, reevaluating pricing, seeking stability, investing long term, or realizing what is financially sustainable. This new moon is asking, what actually supports your life long term? Now, for me, this came in the form of a letter from the IRS telling me how incompetent the people that I hired to do my taxes are. So now I have to pay a penalty, even though it's not my fault. So there's a possibility that I might go to court over this. And yes, I have the receipts to prove that it's not my fault. Now, in relationships, this could look like defining relationships. Like, get out of a situationship and actually name what that relationship is. You might be wanting commitment. You might be evaluating loyalty. You might be craving consistency or questioning unreliable dynamics. You might be ending unstable situations or prioritizing peace over intensity. Now, for me, it was questioning unreliable dynamics that came up, and I did some work around that. This new moon will often expose where someone feels emotionally unsafe, where energy is inconsistent, and where trust was eroded slowly. You might also find yourself slowing down. You might feel exhausted by rushing, overstimulated, disconnected from your body, or just tired of chaos. Now, this Taurus new moon can trigger a desire to rest, to simplify stuff, a desire to either ground in nature or with food, and a desire to build a new routine or just to reconnect with nature. Now, for example, my mom right now is on a trip to Morocco, and she's definitely reconnecting with nature. So, hi, Mom. You might be improving your home by reorganizing spaces, by buying quality items, by beautifying the home, by decluttering, by creating comfort or improving sensory environments. And for me, it's definitely decluttering, because I am going to list a lot of my clothes for sale because they just don't resonate with me anymore. And you could also be suddenly focusing on nutrition, on sleep, on physical comfort, on stress stored in the body, on sensory overload, on touch deprivation, or nervous system regulation. Now, it's time to listen to what your body has been trying to tell you for quite some time. It could also manifest as self-worth recalibration in the form of epiphanies like, I deserve better. I've been undercharging. I tolerate too much. I've been abandoning my own needs. I don't feel safe receiving. Now remember that Taurus rules value, worth, and deservedness. So you might be looking at where your self-worth and survival got fused together, and you might be starting to unpack that. You might also have a desire for tangible results. You might want proof, consistency, or structure. This is where you stop tolerating empty promises. You know, the talk without action stuff, or the emotional chaos without any resolution. Now, the themes that not a lot of people might know that it's actually being stirred by the Taurus New Moon, the biggest one is around grief, around time. You might suddenly realize how long you stayed somewhere or in a relationship, how much energy you invested, how many years passed in survival mode, or how much of yourself you abandoned for stability. Now, this is because Taurus governs accumulation, duration, and investment over time. You might be confronting your comfort addictions. This could be food, shopping, or pleasure. And it could also be about that familiar pain, that emotional stagnation, that routine-based identity, or avoidance through comfort. Taurus's theme is at least it feels familiar. And with the new moon shining a light, it will suddenly show you where comfort became a cage. Your body might start rejecting what your soul no longer wants. You might suddenly experience exhaustion around certain jobs, physical resistance to environments, inability to tolerate chaos anymore, throat tension, jaw clenching, or even appetite shifts. It's asking you to listen to your body and move accordingly, even when uncomfortable. This can also trigger receiving wounds, especially around love, money, support, rest, pleasure, or softness. Maybe you realize how much armor you had to put on just to survive. And while that armor kept you safe, now it's weighing you down. You might realize that you know how to survive and you have no clue how to receive safely. You might realize why you keep on recreating the same relationships based on survival, because a safe relationship for you feels foreign. I've personally been working through a lot of this for quite some time on both financial and romantic sides of just feeling safe to receive money and love. Now, you might be going down the rabbit holes and asking yourself, what truly replenishes me? What actually regulates my nervous system and makes me feel safe? What does safety look like with money, with love, and what creates sustainable peace? Because safety will look different for different people. Now, you could also be dealing with ownership karma and questions like, what do I own? What owns me? What am I attached to? What have I built my identity around? What am I afraid to lose? The fear of losing yourself or losing the relationship could be really huge right now. This can play out in themes of possessions, relationship, money, status, routines, or even identities that we just talked about. Now, not a lot of people know that Taurus New Moon often initiates long cycles because Taurus is slow moving energy. Now, however, whatever you cultivate during the Taurus New Moon often lasts years, becomes foundational, alters long-term security, and restructures values permanently. So before you go into a long-term relationship with someone, I would say do a lot of digging on that. This Taurus New Moon may look quiet externally. However, internally, it can mark the moment you stopped abandoning yourself, which interestingly enough is what I've been working on these past few weeks. Because remember, Aries, with the Aries New Moon, it told us to start, do, go. Now, Taurus New Moon, it asks us, can it survive? Is this sustainable long term? So let me know in the comments below if you can spot any of these Taurus New Moon themes and which ones they are.